Hi, welcome back to my unique space. Today we are gonna deal with the poem The Negro Speaks of Rivers, penned by Langston Hughes. Langston Hughes was an American poet, social activist, novelist, playwright, and columnist from Missouri. He is one of the earliest innovators of the literary art form called jazz poetry. Hughes is best known as an leader of the Harlem Renaissance. Langston Hughes wrote the poem The Negro Speaks of Rivers when he was only 17 years old. He was on a train crossing the river Mississippi on the way to see his father in Mexico. Since then, the poem has become one of the best known and most commonly quoted. It was provided inspiration for fellow poets and artists who have also used the image of the river to depict black perseverance and strength. He wrote the poem The Negro Speaks of Rivers in order to celebrate the strength of black heritage and perseverance. His speaker goes through the poem informing the reader that he or she has seen the world along the banks of famous, historically important rivers. Black history has flowed as a river from the beginnings of time, despite many individuals and societies attempting to stop it. The poem consists of 13 lines that does not make use of any specific rhyme scheme. Let's discuss the summary of first four lines of the poem. The poem begins with the speaker utilizing a great deal of repetition. The title of this piece immediately comes into play with first person narrator. One can assume that the speaker is black, that not only has he and will he speak of rivers, he has known that this is a strange turn of phrase. There is an element of personification used here which brings the reader closer to the works the speaker lives in. The starting line, I have known rivers, is used again in the beginning of the second line. It is not just any river he has known, but ones that are as ancient as the world. These bodies of water are vastly important to the history of the earth. They eventually come to be to humanity as well. The human element of the landscape is secondary to the which occurred before humans became the dominant species on the planet. The final lines of the section state that the speaker's soul has grown deep like the rivers. It has taken on the ancient and multi-layered aspects of rivers as well as their progression through a landscape. His soul is like the most ancient and longest of rivers. Now we can have a look at the summary of lines from 5th to 7th. Here speaker lists out a number of rivers he visited and came to know. The first place he takes the reader is to the river Euphrates, which flows through the south of Turkey and into Iraq. The body of water is deeply connected to mythology and ancient history. It is recorded that the city of the Babylon was erected on its bank. It is often linked with the Tigris. Together they made up the Tigris-Euphrates river system. It was here that they experienced the young dawns. This is a reference to the beginning of time, or at least the beginning of human civilization. Next, the speaker takes the reader to Congo, second longest river in Africa. It runs through three different countries: the Republic of Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Angola. This line is easy enough to interpret. He built his hut there on its banks and allowed it to lull him to sleep. This is quite an intimate way to get to know a river. The next lines he goes on to speak about the Nile River, It flows from south to the north in northeast Africa. From his moment in time, he was looking upon the Nile while helping to build pyramids. This clearly places him among the peasants, slaves who work for the pharaohs of Egypt. Aside from the marvel of the pyramids, the Nile is the source of life for much of the region. He is lining himself around the most important natural elements of his various times. Next, lines from 8 to 10. Finally, he moves on to the more modern times and the Mississippi River. He was listening to the sound of the Mississippi River. There is a reference to a particular trip taken by Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. When he was a young man, he guided a boat down the river. This gave him his first glimpse of what slavery was like. The marketplace in New Orleans was one of the largest in the world. In the concluding line of this section, he says that he has seen the madly banks of the rivers turn golden due to the selling of the sun. And finally, moving towards the last three lines of the poem. The last three lines of this piece, the speaker returns to the repetition that marked the beginning of the poem. The Negro speaks of river. The lines are mostly the same with a slight change in the middle. He begins with the third repetition of the phrase, I have known rivers. They are used as a marker for the long and multi-phase life he had lived. He has been present at some of the world's most important historical occasions, all due to his friendship and dedication to these bodies of water. They are described as being dusky and ancient. This gives them a darker shadow-like undertone situated to the variety of experience he had. This is the short summary of the poem. Hope it is clear. Thank you. Bye.